Hey everybody, it's GobletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we have another Arena Decathlon event, the Arena Decathlon Finals, a best of 3 cube draft event. We will be competing for a lot of varying prizes, mostly constructed prizes like wild cards and a copy of each card in Kamigawa, but also some cosmetic prizes like card sleeves, but I do already have the basic lands we could win here, and a Jace avatar. So the only prize that's really appealing to a limited player like myself is the 3 player draft tokens at 3 wins. So my goal here today is going to try to get a 3-win run. So I'm going to do my best to get there at least, but I'm still going to try to play my best, and maybe we could try to get that one of every copy in Kamigawa as well, just because it would be kind of cool. Alright, so here we are with our opening pack. What do we have today? So we do have Crawling Barrens. This is a card I like in pretty much any like 2-color deck. It's just a really good man land, a good mana sink when you're out of stuff to do. Just make this bigger and bigger until this could finish off your opponents. It's also completely colorless, so it goes into most decks. There's Vanquish the Horde for a control deck. Poison the Cups, pretty good removal. Not in love with Crush the Weak because I just feel like there's better Wraths that can kill more things. Cosmos Elixir did get a buff, and it is completely colorless, so it could try to fit into pretty much anything. None of the colored cards look massively powerful. Like, they clearly drag me into any strategy unless I'm just feeling like going in any of those colors. Yeah, Elixir doesn't go into every deck either, though, because it really doesn't go into aggro decks. But mid-range and control decks could be solid. I think I just want to take Crawling Barrens here. Honestly, none of these cards are powerful enough to really drag my attention to them. I guess Clone Crafter is probably pretty good in cube. Conjure a duplicate of a random creature from your opponent's library. Every creature in the cube is pretty good. But I guess it's like a 2-mana 1/2 draw guaranteed creature. So even when you put it that way, it's not that insane. I'm just going to take Crawling Barrens, see where we go from there. So now we have a bunch of dual lands in this pack. Solid removal spell in Conclave Tribunal. Aggressive Boros card, Heroic Reinforcements. Aggressive red card, the Battlecry Goblin. Some green Recursion with Timeless Witness. A very flexible green card, the Primal Command. It's got 4 different modes to choose from. Something's always going to be decent on that. A little flyer in white, some late game mana ramp in Gilded Lotus, and then Village Rites, which is pretty much only for the sacrifice deck. So that card is not particularly flexible. Kind of, do we want to go more aggro or just take a removal spell here is what I'm feeling, because this pack is not super powerful. We could also even just take a duel and stay wildly open, because we're not missing out too much not having a Tribunal or a Battlecry Goblin. Let's just get weird with it. I'm just going to take a Watery Grave here and just wait till I see something that really appeals to me. Well, Search for Azcanta does appeal to me quite a bit, but so does Elite Spellbinder. This card has just beat me up and taken my lunch money over and over in this cube. Other than that, Werewolf Pack Leader for a very heavy green deck. Magma Quake. It's Wrath against everything except flyers. I feel like the fact that it doesn't hit flyers is kind of a big deal, because there are some decks in this cube that can run a ton of flyers. Yeah, I kind of like Search for Azcanta here. Just a very good card for a mid-range or more controlling blue deck. Sits there scrying for a while, and then eventually it flips and you just keep drawing cards off of it with the 3-mana ability. Could also get aggressive and just take a Danto Vanguard. I think I'm going to get more controlling today. Ooh, this is a nice pack, wow. There's a Brazen Borrower, which sort of goes with our Search for Azcanta and Watery Grave here. There's Young Pyromancer, which is going to be great if we end up going red-blue, or even just red. Another blue-black dual land, if we want to just take a bunch of blue-black lands. There's Neutralize for a counterspell in blue. Professor Onyx is fine, but I feel that like big 6-mana game-ending cards are pretty replaceable in the cube. There's a ton of them that are very good. So I like Brazen Borrow or Young Pyromancer and Neutralize here probably the most, followed by maybe Clearwater Pathway. I love Young Pyromancer, but I don't want to like overvalue it. I think Brazen Borrower was absolutely sweet every time we've ran it so far. So I'm going to take a Brazen Borrower here. Stick to just blue so far. Now we can take some black removal. The Hagra Mauling here. A removal spell when we need it, and a land when we need it. Mind Flayer is, like, good if you're a deck with a lot of creatures to where your opponent will expend their removal early game, to where you can dump this out and, like, permanently steal one of their things. But oftentimes, I feel like in blue-black, we're not going to have a ton of creatures, so having a low creature count deck with a Mind Flayer in it, the card is not going to work that well, because your opponent can just use their one removal spell that they couldn't use all game on your Mind Flayer, and then it does nothing. And I think with Search for Azcanta, we're already trying to play probably a high non-creature count deck, which would be a low creature count deck, so I think I'm going to take Hagra Mauling, the non-creature over the creature there. Well, Massacre Wurm is going to be a wrath against the aggressive decks, while also making our opponent lose a bunch of life. A wrath against the low to the ground decks. Or we could just take the cheaper card like Mire Triton here. It gains us life and puts a Death Toucher on board, so it's pretty good at staving off some damage. I think these two are my favorite. Champion of Wits is also quite good. Some card filtering there. Card selection. Draw 2, discard 2, and then Eternalize it, draw 4, discard 2. And Ice Manipulator is not bad either. It's just a bit expensive. I think I'm going to take Massacre Wurm. It's just a really cool card. Mire Triton might be the better pick because, again, there are a ton of really good high mana cost cards. So I don't like to take a ton of high mana cost stuff early, because you really don't want your deck to just be a stack of 5-6 mana stuff, because then you just died all the aggressive decks. And Mire Triton's really good at getting out early, gaining some life, and blocking against the aggressive decks. So Mire Triton, I could definitely see a pretty good argument for it, but Massacre Wurm is just a really cool card, and it is going to be good. Yeah, Eldest Reborn is certainly good as well. Kind of a 3-for-1. Get rid of one of your opponent's creatures or planeswalkers, make them discard a card, and then bring back one of your own, or even one of theirs. You can bring something from their graveyard to your field. That's pretty insane. So blue-black Triome? No, it is a blue-red Triome, so that doesn't work for us. Take a black-red duel so we could splash in some of the cheap red removal the cube has, potentially. We're not going to splash in a Dorat. That's for an aggressive blue-red deck. And we're not going to splash in Garruk's Uprising, Targnar, or Kiora. These are for creature-heavy decks / aggressive decks, neither of which we're looking to be. Maybe we would be playing a Bala Ged Recovery if we ended up in Sultai, but it's pretty unlikely, so I'd rather just take the black-red duel for potential red splash. Now we have Phyrexian Arena, card engine that loses us life, Poison the Cup, another removal spell, or Cosmos Elixir, a card engine that gains us life. Kind of like Cosmos Elixir here, to be honest. But I also really want to make sure I have enough removal, so I like Poison the Cup too. But black-blue, that's going to be a color pair with a lot of good removal, ideally. Looking at the curve, Poison the Cup seems like a decent choice here, but Cosmos Elixir is sweet. I don't know, I'm going to take Poison the Cup. This is a definite Drowned Catacomb here. Village Rites is not going to work in our deck. We're going to be very low creature count. Now Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Now we have a man land, a creature land here. Or Gifted Aetherborn, a little bit hard to cast. Double black on turn 2, so we have to treat this as a potential 3 or 4 mana card, but even as a 3 or 4 mana card, it's going to be good in our deck. Gain us some life and trade off with anything. It's better than the Hive of the Eye Tyrant? You know, maybe so. I'm going to take Gifted Aetherborn here. take our first counterspell or our Salinity Vision to have another spell land. I love the spell lands probably too much. Yeah, I'll stick to the stuff I love. I'm taking a spell land. Now we can take a blue-red land here. Although Illyrius wouldn't be horrible. 3 mana for a 3-2. The 3-2 trades off into something, and then the 2-3 untaps, and that could trade off into something. But I really like the idea of having 2 blue-red lands, so now it's getting a lot easier to potentially splash in something red. I don't love Timuret Calls the Dead. It's cool, but you really need to take some graveyard synergies to do a lot of cool stuff with it. Whereas Champion of Wits, it's good with graveyard synergies, it's also just good all by itself. So now what do we got? Pack 2, pick 1. Could splash into Devil's Play. Just a big old fireball removal spell. There's Inquisition of Kozilek. Make our opponent discard a card of our choice that costs 3 or less. Most decks are going to have stuff in hand that costs 3 or less in the early game, so this is good in the opening hand, but a bad draw late game. Other than that, we have Chart a Course, which is almost always going to be draw 2, discard 1 in our deck, and Skyclave Shade, which can't block, so it's really not what we're trying to do. I think I just take Inquisition here. And worst case scenario, this is best 2 out of 3, so we can sideboard it out against slower matchups. Pelakka Predation is like reverse Inquisition, and it's a spell land. I feel like people generally don't like the spell land, so we can definitely wheel that if that's what we want. So we can probably just have both. So here we could take a black-red duel, a black-blue duel that can cycle. A Fading Hope for some really cheap interaction. I think I want the Fading Hope here. I just want to really make sure I can slow my opponent down in the early game. Really want to have everything at my disposal against aggro. We'd like to wheel the blue-black or black-red duel here. And we don't have any red cards yet. We're just kind of leaving ourselves open to splashing red. So we would rather wheel the blue-black than the black-red. But the triomes tend to go really quickly because like 5-color decks are going to take these super highly, and any 2-color deck, be it black-green, blue-black, or green-blue, can make use of this. So triomes are going to vanish pretty fast, so I don't know if we're wheeling that. Would we wheel Fading Hope more likely than Triome? I don't know, and I feel like Fading Hope is really important. Just very, very cheap interaction. Ooh, Immortal Sun? There's a card draw engine. Shuts off Planeswalkers too, it's interesting. Allrund is also a card draw engine, plus we can just play it early game if we just need to play a 2-3 to trade off with something. Don't love Geistwave here. Chainer's Edict is cool. There's a lot of times where it doesn't work super well though, because there's tokens in the cube, there's creatures of the graveyard recursion and stuff. So the fact that your opponent gets to choose what you kill, it's not awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely not on Geistwave. I think it's Chainer's Edict, Allrund, or Immortal Sun. Do we want one of these 2 card draw engines, or do we want the removal? I'm not super excited about. I think I want one of the card draw engines. I think I'm a little higher on Allrund than Immortal Sun for us. Because of Allrund's flexibility, being able to be just played as a 2-mana 2-3 flyer to just block something. Ooh, Bloodchief's Thirst? Yeah, that's... I mean, it's sorcery speed, whereas Baleful Mastery is instant speed, but the upside of this, just being able to be cast for 1 mana when your opponent's real aggro, is super nice. I like Foul Play as well, but I prefer the flexibility of Baleful Mastery and Bloodchief's Thirst, where it can kill any creature or planeswalker if we spend 4 mana into it. And these can both still be spent as just a 1 or 2 mana removal spell. So I think these are both probably a little better than Foul Play. Even though the card draw in Foul Play is quite nice, it's just not going to be good against every matchup, whereas these 2 are. Languish seems like definitely the pick for me here. Definitely slap a Wrath effect in this deck. Could absolutely use another on top of our Massacre Wurm, because our Massacre Wurm doesn't even kill nearly as many things as Languish would. Just -2/-2 versus -4/-4, that's a pretty wide gap in how much it can kill. That being said, Hall of Storm Giants, I think this is actually a really good creature land for a control deck. Like, the one that becomes a 3/3, the black one, not super great, because your creature lands you want in a control deck are lands that you're just going to dump a boatload of mana into after you've dealt with everything on board and you're down to where both players are top decking, and Hall of Storm Giants is just perfect for that, so that's really cool, but really want to make sure I have Wrath effects. Shieldred is also really cool, but we're a creature low deck, so Shieldred's not going to be bringing all that much stuff back from our grave, plus Shieldred costs 1,000,000 mana. Although I guess there are some Reanimator cards we could try to mill a Shieldred and go crazy with Unburial Rites and stuff. Feels pretty unlikely. I'm just going to take a Pact of Negation here. We'll counterspell we could cast for free, as long as we have 5 mana up during our next turn. Alright, I like 2 mana ramp here. Got a lot of 4 mana, 5 mana, 6 mana stuff. It's going to be nice to ramp up into it, and these colors are very low on ramp, blue and black, not traditionally known for ramp. Blood Artist is again a very powerful card, not really for a control deck with a low creature count, which is what we are doing. Ooh, Disfigure is awesome. Love that. Another cheap piece of interaction. Could try to splash in a Predator, but by itself, it's just like fine. It's really good when you have the creatures like Skyclave Shade that can keep coming back from the grave. Oh, we wheel the blue-black duel. Alright, get in here over the black-red one. We still have not taken a single red card. I'm not going to splash in a triple red Drakuzeth, so that's not a thing. Not going to have enough creatures to try to flip the hostile into a creeping in, so I guess we're taking a Lithoform engine and probably not playing that. Just a really big mana sink to get this to do stuff. We wield the Foul Play, awesome. We might start that in the sideboard. Probably not. I might try this main deck. It only kills creatures with power 2 or less, so there's going to be matchups where it just doesn't work at all. But hopefully it works in enough matchups we can just main deck it. I don't know, we'll see how our deck's looking when we get to the deck building to see how much room we have in the deck. If we have to cut like 10 cards or something, that'll probably be one of the cuts. Last pick, Blood Artist. Alright, well, maybe if we get a bunch of creatures, we'll run that. So what do we have here? We do have Mayhem Devil. If we get a last pick Blood Artist, do we want to somehow try to pivot to Rakdos Sack? Our black cards really don't work in Rakdos Sack. We have very much drafted the control deck here. We have nothing, no like sack outlets or anything like that. I don't think we can really try to pivot into a Mayhem Devil Blood Artist deck here. I guess if we wheel it, we can go for it, but I'm pretty sure we're just supposed to take like Baral's Expertise or the blue-black duel here. Expertise doesn't seem incredible. It just slows our opponent down. Does cast something for free when we do it too, though. Probably just on Marsh over that. We'll see what we wheel out of that pack. Noxious Gearhulk, that's exactly what the doctor ordered. This is a really good card to stabilize. A big old 5/4 that can block or trade into some stuff pretty well. And it's a removal spell when it hits the board, and it's a removal spell that gains you life equal to the toughness of whatever you killed when you play it, so that is beautiful for us. That being said, we've got those random red lands in our sideboard, and a Kolagon's Command is a really nice, cheap piece of interaction. Deal 2 to any target and make your opponent discard a card, or deal 2 to any target and destroy an artifact. It's a really cheap way to often 2-for-1 your opponent, get rid of some of their aggressive stuff. So Kolagon's Command is choice 2, but I really like Noxious Gearhulk on 6 here. I also do really like Kolagon's Command, so that would be probably our favorite wheel out of this pack if we're lucky. I think I like Erebos' Intervention here. So Callous Blood Mage, that'll give us main deck Graveyard Hate, I guess. It is a 2/1 and a 1/1 pest. This seems like a card for the sacrifice deck. Acquisition Expert, just a 2-mana 1/2. Your opponent discards a card. Basically just like a Ravenous Rats, not crazy. Yeah, I like Erebos' intervention for being a removal spell that also gains us life. Just seems cool to me. And Valentine does very little. Yeah. Splash in a Prismari command. It's literally just the blue-red version of Kolagon's command. 2 damage to a target and destroy an artifact. It's got that exact same 2-mode combo if we want to try to do that. Yeah, I kind of like that. Grey Merchant of Asphodel might actually work in here, though, because we have Massacre Wurm, Gearhulk, Gifted Aetherborn. We have some high black pips in our mana cost. But not a lot. We only have like 3 black permanents or something like that, so maybe not. Could also just take Feed the Storm for cheap interaction. I'm going to go a little crazy. I'm going to take Prismari command, maybe try to actually do the red splash here. Now that we're trying to do the red splash, we can take the Blightstep pathway, and if we wheel the Kolagon's command, we are like all set up with the double command off the splash. Should be a lot of fun. If we don't try to do the splash, this is just easily an opt. I think I'm going to try it. Could have Cruel Reality as a finisher. I think we're doing all right on finishers. We've got all Rendelers for board, Massacre Wurm, Gearhulk, sort of. Random cards to try to kill our opponent with. Into the Royal's nice, because it's cheap interaction or slower interaction that draws us a card. Or one of the red duels is nice. Take the Into the Royal there. Don't really like this pack very much. I guess we could try to do more but opportunist things. Draw cards every time we do our removal spells. Could also take Reassembling Skeleton if we wheel the Mayhem Devil. I feel like even if we wheel that, that's not happening. I'm just going to take Morbid Opportunist. Is there anything here? Oh yeah, Scholar of the Lost Trope. That's a finisher. Yeah, this is very similar to the Noxious Gearhulk. Just a big old 5/5 flyer for 7 that also just casts a removal spell from our graveyard. This could even cast a Languish and survive. If we recast the Languish with that thing, can you imagine? That'd be insane. Yeah, Scholar of the Lost Trove is beautiful for us. We could splash in a fight with fire here. It's better than splashing in the Mayhem Devil. We did wheel the Devil if we really wanted to go crazy, but Obliterator is basically uncastable in a 3-color deck, 2-color with a red splash. I think this is the pack that had Kolagon's command, so I think that dream has not happened. Unfortunate. That would have been pretty cool. The lands are just wide open here. Now we can take the Grey Merchant, I guess. Yeah, the Witch could grab removal, I guess. The 1/2 that grabs removal when it dies? I don't know. I'm still going to take Grey Merchant, I think. Not really taking a little 2/1 flyer. Bonsu or Finisher? I don't think I'm playing either of these. Because we have finishers that are also like removal spells slapped on. Gearhulk, Scholar of the Lost Trove, and Massacre Wurm. All 3 of those are like a big enough creature to play as a finisher that also rests the board or casts a removal spell or something. Cruel Reality, we just play it and all it does is slowly but surely try to close out the game. It's super bad against decks with a lot of creatures. I feel like we have enough great removal and great cards in general. We don't need to toy around with the red splash. Now it's kind of just like, if we get both the commands, then we could go crazy, and that would be cool, but deck looks pretty good. It's just 2-color here. kind of want to sideboard Inquisition. I don't know. Let's see, that's a land, that's a land. We have 2 flip land cards. At that rate, they let us cut 1 land from our deck, I'd say. I don't like cutting 1 for them. And it actually might be better to just not cut any lands and still keep one of these in the deck. And I feel like Solemn Vision's better than Pelakka Predation. So I kind of want to just cut Predation, keep Solemn Vision in the deck, and we basically just have an 18 land deck here. Because we've got some high mana stuff we want to hit with some consistency. Yeah, I kind of like just doing that. I'm just not cutting any lands here with the flip lands. Siren Storm Tamer doesn't make a lot of sense here. This was like a card we picked when there were like 3 cards left in the pack or something. It's just the only thing on color. I think we're cutting that probably. And then maybe we cut the foul play because it only works against low to the ground decks. So if we play against another control deck or if we play against like a ramp deck or something, it's just not going to do anything. Pact of Negation is kind of a 5 mana counter spell. We could also just cut the Pact. Definitely seem like a tap out kind of control deck where we're not really running counter spells. We're just running removal and bounce spells. Yeah, it's opportunist. I'm gonna have every opportunity to kill creatures and stuff. Let's maybe cut Pact or Inquisition or Grey Merchant. Yeah, we do not have a lot of permanents. Grey Merchant, like, it's really cute when we have a Massacre Wurm or a Noxious Gearhulk out, but when we have one of those out, we're already in a good position most of the time. Most likely. Yeah, I kind of like just cutting the Grey Merchant. We actually do have Halgrim Mauling. We have another spell land, so we have 2 spell lands here, so we sort of have 19 lands. Sorta. I'm going to try out the Inquisition. I think it's between Pact and Grey Merchant. I'm not going to cut a land. Although I guess I could. With 2 flip lands still. Still feel like I shouldn't. Cart Grey Merchant here. Alright, so here's the final build of the deck. I did add another swamp and cut an island from what they wanted to do. Most of our double blues are stuff we can do late game. Brazen Borrower, we can cast this just for the petty theft and be fine with it for a while. Our double blues that we really need double blue on are like 5 mana. The Allrund and Pact of Negation, and then Scholar at 7. All of our early game blues are just need a single blue there. Plus we have another blue source, Solemn Vision, so we kind of have 6 blue sources. And we have a lot of cards that are going to need a heavy black requirement. We have Gifted Aetherborn on 2, Poison the Cup potentially on 3 if we don't foretell it, and Halgrim Mauling and Languish is going to be really important to be able to Languish turn 4 against the aggressive strategies. And then of course at 6 we have the triple black requirements on Massacre Wurm, so I like definitely going for 7 swamps, 5 islands as the split here. Other than that, I think the deck's pretty unchanged from what it was before. And let's get into the games. Alright, so here we are, game 1 of round 1. We've got turn 2 Gifted Aetherborn here. Guess I could have played Drowned Catacomb turn 1 so we could have double blue turn 2 if I draw an island, but I don't have anything that needs double blue turn 2. So we'll just hide our second color for a moment there. So we are playing against probably 5 color. They start with a blue-black duel and a green-white duel. Do not hit the 3rd land here. We did keep a 2-lander. But we hit a mana rock, so it's almost the same as drawing like a tapped land. Got double black already. We do need a 3rd black for Massacre Wurm, but I think it's probably better to just grab the 2nd blue because we do have Borrower in hand. And Into the Royal requires double blue if we want to kick it. Island from our opponent. Just send in our Aetherborn, hold up our instants here. Just cast a Borrower in their end step if they don't do anything. Now a Plains. So they've got every color except red. There's a Bubble Snare. We can return our own Gifted Aetherborn to our hand and draw a card when we do so. To get rid of the Bubble Snare, we'll just have to recast it. Rather draw a card or use Petty Theft on Brazen Borrower. I think I'd rather draw a card here. Oh, I'd definitely rather draw a card. I always forget, Petty Theft can only target your opponent's stuff. It's the only time I play Brazen Borrowers in Cube, so it doesn't happen too often. We have 5 mana now. We have nothing to play for 5. I guess we could play Gifted Aetherborn, play an untapped land, and then we could also play Brazen Borrower if we want, but I think I'd rather play the tapped land this turn, so I guarantee my 6-drop Gearhulk next turn. And this way I can still hold up Petty Theft at least. Alright. Well, there's absolutely nothing to kill with our Gearhulk. Guess we're just attacking in. And then... do we still just play it as a 5/4 menace? I guess we do, because like if they remove it or counter it, we can recast it with Scholar. Scholar can recast artifacts, which is just absurd. We are really going to need to sideboard in this matchup. So our opponent has not played a single creature, and most of our deck is good at dealing with creatures. Play their Seagate Reborn as a tapped land. There's an Angel of Intervention. They are going to split it up into multiple creatures there. Could Languish, but that kills all of our own stuff. If we Brazen Borrower their Angel of Intervention, they could just recast and get more 1/1s. Same with if we Fading Hope it. I guess we just attack and then kind of surprise them with one of these bounce spells to make it worth it. Because they will have to spend their whole next turn recasting the Angel again. Yeah, so we can make it so we kill both of these tokens by bouncing Angel back to hand in response. Or we could just kill the Angel by playing Scholar here. But then we run into a Wrath if they have one. I think I'd rather just bounce Angel and let them do it again here. Then we can play Borrower in their end step. Angel's back. We can do the same thing if we want. Or we can do the scholar thing here. I forgot to play the frickin' borrower. I got too excited. I think this time I'll just bounce one of the tokens instead of the angel. Get the scry here. Should have been attacking with a borrower as well. That was definitely bad. A big miss. Casting the scholar without anything to recast? Their grip is like full here. I don't feel like we are. Mind Flayer. Grab our Gear Hulk. We're planning to languish here. We scholar bounce their Mind Flayer. If we scholar bounce their Mind Flayer, Gear Hulk has Summoning Sickness and it's tapped. So we're not attacking with that. They have a 2-1 out, we have a 3-1 and a 2-3. We're hitting for like 2 damage. And then they can just replay Mind Flayer. We're probably on languish here. Inquisition. Well, we can see what's in their hand, which is definitely nice. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Alright, to counter that. That's actually really bad for us because now it goes back on top. And they know it's coming, so they'll just cast any of their 3 or lesses in hand. But it does mean that the languish doesn't get countered, which is pretty good. Delver of Secrets. Get our borrower down. We're going to Inquisition to see if they have a counter, and if they don't, then we'll Scholar and go crazy here. They do have a Wrath and a Gear Hulk and a Restoration Angel. Alright, I don't think we can win then. Six, seven, eight. Yeah, they just, I mean, we Scholar, they Gear Hulk Memory Lapse. Then whenever we try to do anything else, they Restoration Angel, flicker the Gear Hulk Memory Lapse again. And they have a Wrath backup, even if we somehow get through all of that. Good God. They don't have enough mana to play the Gear Hulk and the Restoration Angel here, so we do get to attack with Borrower, and they might just slam down the Restoration Angel, in which case we do get to Scholar. Like, we lose our Borrower, but that's the only way we can guarantee Scholar hits the board. But then, I guess they just Wrath instead. And then they have a Gear Hulk against an empty board. Yeah, it's really not ideal either way. They're definitely on the Wrath here. Does take their whole turn to do it, though. It's going to be a lot of mana. Yeah, they don't have the mana up for Gearhulk after that. Which means it's the only time we can resolve something, so we'll just cast whatever we draw immediately. Elspeth conquers death, conquering the morbid opportunist. Well, by doing that, they're tapped out of Gearhulk mana, which means Champion of Wits resolves. Do we have a lot of graveyard synergies? Do we even want to just mill ourselves to here? I don't think we have any flashback or anything. Yeah, we don't want to draw 2, discard 2, we just want to play it and do nothing. Gonna swords it anyway. Alright. Now they have a swords engraved for their Gearhulk. Do we have any other draw discard spells? Do we need to hold on to this land? I think our one draw discard spell is the... Yeah, our only draw discard spell is the Champion of Wits, and we do have a little bit of card draw. We might need all this mana out here, like Salinity Vision and stuff. Crawling Barrens also. We're gonna want just a mountain of mana. If we draw into that. Conquer's Death goes off. They get their best creature planeswalker from grave. Angel of Invention it is. So Massacre would be sweet anytime they can't hold up the Torrential Gearhulk. Our opponent slams down a Field of the Dead. They're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 7 different lands. Crawling Barrens is beautiful. But they could just Swords to Plowshares it with Torrential Gearhulk whenever we actually turn it into a creature. Definitely feels like we're locked out here. So I'm just going to try to play fast so they use more of their clock than we do, because they're going to have to take a while to kill us at 38 here. So I'll just try to regain some of my lost time from how slowly I generally play. I forgot to dump mana into Barrens, not that it really matters. Whenever Barrens is finally activated, it's getting swords. Although if I can get them to Swords to Plowshares our Barrens, that means whatever our spell we're trying to resolve happens, it will resolve. At least it'll be more likely to resolve. They do have Maze Mind Tome going off now, so they've got plenty of cards. Epiphany as well. Alright, I guess we'll Barrens at the end of their next turn. So they're blue-white control, they just have these dual lands in the deck for Field of the Dead. Yeah. Another blue-white control deck it is. Oh, it's too late to block. Oh my god. Alright. A Time Warp and Epiphany. Block Predation actually sweet in this matchup. Grey Merchant is fine to play over removal. If a Cruel Reality resolves, is good against them. They have some tokens, but not a lot of creatures in general. These games go long. We had a lot of mana, so Lithoform Engine can maybe even go off. We can just slam these in and cut... Just cut some removal. Like Foul Play for sure is not going to work. Disfigure is not likely to work. Well, Disfigure kills the Angel. They do get to keep the tokens. Inquisition wasn't actually horrible, like if we're on the play, and we are going to be on the play here. If we're on the play and we open it in hand. Didn't love bounce against them, because they just had a lot of good enter the battlefield effects. I mean, it was fine against that Angel, just so we could still try to be attacking, but they did just get to keep re-resolving it. If we're cutting some removal, we should probably cut Opportunist. I can't edit card styles in the sideboarding, so Grey Merchant is just going to be all warbly in 3D. We can do a 41 card special. We've got a couple flip lands in here. Although I still, yeah, I don't love the Fading Hope here. Alright, we've got a deck. The Languish was fine. It does kill Mind Flayer and Angel. So it's kind of like just a Hagra Mulling that maybe does a tiny bit more. I really like this hand, but it is low on mana. We have 17 lands left in the deck after this. I feel like I have to mulligan if I get stuck on mana here. There's just going to be no coming back, really. Because then our opponent just has all the mana to hold up Gear Hulks and counters and all of that. Well, this hand is probably worse, but definitely not worth the mull down to 5 here. Bubble Snare, Ornithopter of Paradise. They have 2 lands in hand. I kind of want to hit Ornithopter of Paradise. They have Scarab God and Torrential Gear Hulk and Cast Out in hand. Guess we do have a Mauling to kill our first creature. We could try to use that on the Ornithopter. Maybe hit the Bubble Snare instead, but Bubble Snare is going to matter way later than the Ornithopter will. They did draw into a Temple of Deceit, so we know they have 3 mana at least, and they scryed to top. That's probably their 4th mana. We've got Massacre Wurm mana up. The triple black is here. We've drawn into Maze Mind Tome. They go for the tapped Watery Grave rather than just dump Scarab God down. Scarab God is safe against removal, right? Yeah, it just goes right back in their hand at the end step. Oh. I don't think we can beat this deck. This deck is just sick. I can Gear Hulk without killing something, and they'll just Bubble Snare it or Cast Out it. They'll just cast it out, because they have that at instant speed. Then they untap Scarab God. We can't kill Scarab God. We can kill it with Hagra Mauling, but then it goes back to their hand anyway. I'm just going to scoop them here. I'm just going to move on. These events are really long, and this is not a winning matchup with the hand that we know of in their hand, or the cards that we know are in their hand. Like, we know that they have Scarab God and Torrential Gear Hulk. Those cards alone are more impactful than our entire hand, and they've got the Maze Mind Tome, drew them 3 extra cards there, so they also just have straight card advantage rather than like individual card advantage. And they're playing it safe there, which means that it's going to take forever to die. So I'm just going to get out of there. Preserve my mental energy. There's no way we're winning that matchup. All right. So we are on the play here with the turn 1 Inquisition. Great mana. Yeah, I like this Would I rather just turn 2 Aetherborn or turn 1 Inquisition? Because Shipwreck Marsh will be coming into play tapped turn 2, so we can't turn 2 Aetherborn if I Inquisition turn 1. I'm going to turn 2 Aetherborn. Against a red-white. Now turn 3 we get to Inquisition of Kozilek and Foul Play if they play a creature. Nice. This Foul Play is going to be nice in this matchup, that is for sure. That is for certain. I guess we could attack and see if they want to chump block for some reason. Looks like a no. Foul Play that Berserker. Inquisition the hand. I should have Inquisition first for more information. We get rid of a Rimrock Knight. They have a bunch of lands, a Ranger of Eos, and Heroic Reinforcements. So they're not as flooded as it looks like, because Ranger of Eos pulls out 2 more cheap creatures. So they're going to turn 4 Ranger of Eos, get some cheap creatures, play the cheap creatures, and give everything haste and +1/+1. So they actually have a pretty scary hand, even with as much mana as they do. But now they don't have a turn 3 play, which is nice. And Aetherborn is putting in some work for us, gaining us some life here to kind of nullify some of the potential Heroic Reinforcements damage. So here comes Ranger. Unless they drew something better. They might play around counter spells. They don't know that we are the counterless blue-black deck. And for that reason, I'm also going to hold here for a second. Just put the fear of counters in them. So we might get them to play around stuff we don't have. And play slower. Not by, like, time on clock. I mean, have them play slower in terms of how quickly they're ramping out their scariest cards. Because they might try to hold back scary cards. Presuming that we won't let them resolve. So pull out Grim Lavamancer and Goblin Banneret. Alright. This is the kind of matchup we kind of built the deck around. I want to set up our Crawling Barons, draw a card, or kill their Ranger. I think I just want to draw a card. I'll trade the Aetherborn off here if they want to. They do want to. So they have 3 cards that we don't know about in hand. If it's just like a big individually powerful creature, that'd be awesome. Because then Gear Hulk will have a great target next turn, and that's definitely our turn 6 play. Earthshaker Kenra, alright. Hasty boy. Gets in for 2. I could trade off our Crawling Barons into that, but that does not seem ideal. I want to have 6 mana turn 6. Just Goblin Banneret. That's it. They don't cast the Grim Lavamancer. Interesting. Well, I don't see a need to mauling anything. Champion of Wits is pretty sick here. I kind of like that better than Gear Hulk. Because none of these are like big things to kill with Gear Hulk. We're at 24 life. Yeah, I'm just going to Champion of Wits right now, see what we draw into. And this can trade off with either of those creatures. Or one of their removal spells in hand. Oh wow, we draw some sick stuff. We have 5 mana, so we know we can Eldest Reborn next turn, even if we can't do any of this other stuff. Do we discard the 2 lands? Let's say we discard these 2, and then if we want to play a land, we play the Hagra Brood Pit. So I still have time to think about it. 7-drop in hand here. Yeah, I think I do play a land this turn. So we know we can Gear Hulk, and then when the Gear Hulk dies, we can Scholar to Gear Hulk again. Pillar of Flame exiles our Eternalize Champion of Wits. It's very nice against it. They're going to start getting some counters with Banneret and getting a lot of damage in. Hit for 8 here. Got the 7 mana. Recast a Foul Play. I think I would rather play the Gear Hulk. And I guess Scholar, Foul Play the Banneret is not bad. We just block the Earthshaker Kenra. This does come back as a big, scary card. I think I want to play Gear Hulk. I want to live in Magical Christmas Land here where they kill the Gear Hulk somehow. And then we just bring it back with Scholar. Alright, 4 cards in their hand. We know they have Grim Lavamancer, Heroic Reinforcements, a land, Magmatic Channeler. Alright. Gear Hulk might make us stable here. Yep. No way to kill the Gear Hulk, so I guess it's Scholar, Foul Play the Lavamancer. Or is it better to Foul Play the Channeler? Channeler does draw them 2 cards a turn. Yeah, they discard a card off the top to play the next 2 instead. I don't know which is better, Lavamancer or Channeler, but they're both good for sure. I think I'm more scared of Lavamancer. Because Lavamancer makes it so they can actually, like, attack into us. Because they can just throw something in their graveyard at our creature. Wow, our opponent has been flooded out here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I guess Channeler only lets them play one of them, but they choose which one they want to play. So Channeler's not even as scary as I thought it was. Alright, so we Eldest Reborn here, and then they just sack Kenra so they can bring it back as a big old 4/4. I think we're still supposed to play the Eldest Reborn because it does pop off in a few turns. And it forces them to dump their hand here and just play their reinforcements. Play land for turn and cycle the Triome. Play the more expensive draw first. So they probably dump all their mana into the Kenra. Oh yeah, no, they have to dump their hand first or we'll force them to discard, so they're going to go Heroic Reinforcements instead, and Experimental Frenzy. Alright, Experimental Frenzy is terrifying. If they hit a bunch of non-lands on top, which they did just hit 1,000,000 lands, so it's possible, then that means they draw just 1,000,000 because they just go cast it, cast it, cast it, cast it. So Frenzy's terrifying. But our opponent's on a pretty quick clock here. Ooh, Erebos' Intervention is great against them, because we can just exile their Earthshaker Kenra. I'd probably just rather kill it once it hits the board, because we gain a bunch of life if we do that. But we do shut off Channeler from being a 4/4 and stuff that way, which is pretty cool. We've got more than enough mana for all of our stuff, so I guess let's draw the card off of the clue. Brazen Borrower. Pretty sweet. So dead in 2 attacks after this. We're just gonna hold up our instants. I guess we could bounce their Experimental Frenzy here. Force them to dump it back onto the board so they can't draw a million. Kind of into that. Borrower presents lethal next turn, so if they don't find removal or a flyer, then we just kill them on our next turn. And now it's harder for them to just dump through their deck, because they're going to be a little more choked on mana. A little more restricted. So yep, 4 of the mana goes into the Frenzy. Land on top. Dragon's Rage Channeler on top. Bomat Courier on top. This is why we bounced the Frenzy. This thing is ridiculous. So it's been a draw 3 at minimum so far. Even if it stops right there. There's Magmatic Channeler, which now exiles the next 2, which might mean that Frenzy keeps going off. They hit a Lightning Helix, which means they're not going to die next turn, because they're going to gain 3 life. They can only cast that this turn, right? Yeah, they can only cast that this turn, so they can't kill our Borrower with it at least. They're going to cast Young Pyro off the top. They actually tapped out of the Helix mana, which means we do get to just dump down Borrower. Alright, cool. Yeah, they don't have Helix mana, so dump down Borrower. Win in the sky. Cool. And I guess we get something from the grave. Alright. Opponent scoops them up. We've got lethal on board. That is going to be 1-0 in round 2. I really like our deck against their deck. Our deck is like built for this sort of matchup, but we could try the Prismari command out too. I think it would be good here. I don't think we saw any artifacts to blow up. We did see a Bomat Courier. That's 1 artifact to blow up, but we saw a million 2 toughness or less creatures to kill. So the 2 damage is certainly functional in this matchup. We've got 3 red sources just by default. 4 if you count Cold Steel Heart, just by putting our non-basics in. If we want to play around with the Prismari command. What would we cut? What is not good against them? Maybe Pact of Negation? Although it would be fine against their high impact spells like the Experimental Frenzy. Eldritch Reborn isn't great against them because they have tokens, they have creatures that come back from the grave. But it was still fine there, even in kind of a worst case scenario spot. Yeah, the only thing I could really feel like cutting here would be Pact of Negation for Prismari command, and then change the lands around a little bit. Swamp for a pathway, an island for a pathway, swamp for a blood crypt. Sure. Island, swamp, swamp are the cuts. Four red sources. Alright, well I love Massacre Wurm in this matchup, so I think this is going to be a keep for me. Opponent starts with Dragon's Rage Channeler. Pretty terrifying. We're definitely starting with Haka Whispering Raven as just a blocker. 2/3 fire to block with, gets them to not attack unless they can burn it. Soul Guide Lantern from our opponent. Could be a sideboard against our whatchamacallit. The Bolas Saga. Alright, draw the card off the Lantern. Land for turn, Magmatic Channeler, and Haka's doing its work, keeping these creatures from attacking us. Morbid Opportunist is a 1/3, is good at that as well. We're definitely not attacking with Haka, we would rather just sit here behind our creatures. And now we start playing blue sources because we've got our triple black ready for Massacre Wurm. And Aetherborn and all that. Torbran! All their stuff does 3 damage now? They attack and I'm taking trades. They kill whichever one of these two they want. That's fine by me. Kill the Opportunist. We still draw a card. Aetherborn hold up into the Royal if things go wild. I guess Lavamancer does 4 damage, so maybe we just into the Royal the Lavamancer here, so they can't just snipe an Aetherborn or a Haka. I think we do. I genuinely think we do. I probably shouldn't have played Aetherborn. I probably should have just drawn the card off the Into the Royal here. But Aetherborn does hold back Torbran, whereas Haka doesn't. This game is all about just surviving until we can Massacre Wurm. Fight with fire. That is rude. And the Channeler goes off. Alright, this is really bad news, because if Channeler goes off, it's out of range for Massacre Wurm. Now we're just taking 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we need Languish. Massacre Wurm doesn't kill anymore. We can chump block. We can scry off Haka. Not gonna chump block yet. Yeah, that's brutal. Down to 10 now. Not what I'm looking for here. We can't survive if we don't hold the back Haka to block. And they can just shoot Haka with Lavamancer, with Lavamancer, and we take 9 again. They have any burn in hand, it's over. It's not the ideal draws for us, unfortunately. We die if we don't block, because Lavamancer kills us. Alright, Royal Eruption does it too. Royal Eruption plus Lavamancer for game. Rough. I thought the sand was pretty good against them, but that Torbran came in hot. Good lord. Yeah, I mean, our plan against that is to just have the removal to kill Torbran, really. We already have all our removal in our deck. Don't really see much in terms of sideboard options here, based on how that game went. It's going to be helpful to be on the play, that's for sure. And Grey Merchant wouldn't be bad here. 2/4 and we gain some life when we play it. Just a big booty blocker. One way to really make room for it would be Eldest Reborn cutting out of here. I guess I'm fine with that. Alright. here we are, game 3 now of round 2. On the play against the aggro deck. This is not going to cut it. This is really not going to cut it if they have a hand anywhere near their last hand. Way too many lands. Nothing to play until turn 4. I feel like I have to mulligan it. Oh, Cold Steel Heart, turn 2 for black mana, guarantee an Aetherborn. If we make it to 5, a Grey Merchant with an Aetherborn out is going to be really helpful. Intervention gains life and kills something. I think this one's to keep, get rid of Scholar. Inquisition. Would rather be able to play an Aetherborn next turn. Oops. As I cast the Inquisition. First Shaker Kenra's coming on down. We've got a Poison the Cup at the ready now. 2. Could go for an Intervention, gain a life on the Kenra. If I think they're just gonna, like, bolt our Aetherborn. They probably are, but even if they do, I don't really think I want to Intervention their Kenra. Just get the Aetherborn out here, worst case scenario, draw out a bolt. Yep, there it is. Four mana now. Now we Inquisition, we can still hold up the Poison the Cup. Or the Intervention. Scorched Spitter and Heroic Reinforcements are the cards in hand, which means they're going to Heroic Reinforcements next turn. Everything's going to get +1/+1 haste. They're attacking with a 3, 2, and 2, 2/2s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. Erebos' Intervention, gain 3, stop. Gain 2, stop 3. Yeah, I think we're on Intervention on Kenra, even though they'll be able to recast it from grave. They do have a ton of mana. Yeah, I really don't love that they're going to be able to recast this Kenra from the grave. But we can Poison the Cup on it when it comes back. I could Poison the Cup on it now and then choose the Intervention to exile stuff from their grave instead. We just have to make sure to do that before they have 6 mana. If we're going to have to spend both of these removal spells on it either way, might be a little bit better because it also like shuts off Lavamancer if they ever draw into it. But it doesn't gain as much life. It doesn't gain the 2 extra life gain. And if we Poison the Cup it later, we could scry. Yeah, I'm going to go Intervention first. Gary. Ha ha ha. Gary. So 5 mana now from our opponent. 6 mana next turn for the Kenra. Well, goodbye, Gary. Alright, well, Languish is a real thing here. Now we're probably Languishing the Kenra. We're taking a lot of damage to do that, though. We take 6 here and go to 8 life. It's probably worth it to get the 3-for-1 Languish. No haste, opponent. Beaumont Courier, that's got haste. And it's really good against our Poison the Cup, because they can sacrifice it in response to shut off our scry. We kind of have to kill it before they can draw 2 cards off of it. But yeah, they just sack in response, shut off our scry. If their card under the courier is better than their card in hand. Yeah, I have to kill this here, right? Because, like, if I don't kill this, like, anything good in their hand, they just cast, and then they crack the courier and draw 2. Which is horrible. Sure, they might top deck, like, a creature that's better than courier, but if that's the case, then, like, they're drawing it off courier anyway. Or alternatively, like, courier's, like, drawing 2, 3 cards if we're trying to kill something else instead, plus it is pressuring us for damage immediately. Feels awful, but I'm targeting the courier and they're just going to crack it in response and we're not going to scry. We'll draw a card here. Shut off their ability to draw a couple cards next turn. Slow them down a tiny bit. Ooh. Rather wait. I think I'd rather wait on Champion of Wits in case we draw something that we can actually draw to, discard to. Although I might want to just play this Crawling Barrens. 7 mana. Yeah, I guess we're not drawing 2, discarding 2 then. I do want to play Champion of Wits at this point, so I have potentially 2 blockers up. Because Magmatic Channeler, if they have 1 instant or sorcery in hand, if they have Lightning Bolt in hand, they do 3 damage to us with Bolt, and then Channeler's a 4/4. Which is a horrible time. Or, I mean, alternatively, they kill our 1 blocker, then it's a 4/4, so... Doubling up blockers here. The exact Pillar of Flame again. For the exact Champion of Wits. And now Channelers are 4/4 and they haste out of Stormseeker. So we have to chump block with our Crawling Barrens. Ooh, this matchup. I feel like this is a good matchup for us, but... Wow, it has not played out that way. That's cool. Down to 0, that is 0 and 2. As we head into round 3. Round 3 now. On the play. Definite keep. This is one of the best hands I think we've drawn so far. Really great mana and some ramp. We get our 3rd black source off this. Suspicious Stowaway. Let's hit the board from our opponent. Got 4 mana now. Play a Haka and Petty Theft, their Stowaway. Just play a Champion of Wits. I like Haka and holding up a Petty Theft here. Petty Theft the Stowaway when they declare the attack. We'll see what they do post-combat. And if we draw land this turn, we get to Eldest Reborn if they just recast Stowaway and kill it. Which will be wonderful. Alright, recast the Stowaway. And land for turn is a mountain. We do not hit the land for Eldest Reborn, so the dream is not lived. So... yeah, not hitting the land there is really sad. Are we poisoning this stowaway? I guess we are. Potentially. Let's scry with our Haka here. There's the land, which we definitely want. We get rid of the royal. Just put the land on top. We already know what's on top, so rather than foretell the poison the cup, I'm going to stay open to casting a Brazen Borrower. Although I totally forgot this thing flips. It's not just a Looter Core, it's a strictly better Looter Core. Yeah, this card's sick. Yeah, it turns into a just straight draw card. Alright, yeah, no. Anax hardened in the forge. Alright. I'll just reborn, turn you into a 1/1 satyr. You've got plenty of cards in hand to discard here. So we'll get some value off the second ability. And on the final one, we're probably just getting a stowaway, I guess. Opponent foretells a card. In blue-red, that could be Saw It Coming. Could be Aron's Epiphany. Could be Glimpse the Future. Crush the Weak. Demon Bolt. Tons of stuff. Alright, they discard a card. Now with 5 mana, I think we just dump down an Alrund. Although they know we have the Alrund in hand, so they could have just foretold the counterspell to counter it. Our only other plays here are to foul play the Satyr token and play a Borrower or a Champion of Wits. Doesn't feel great. I'm just going to cast this. If they counter it, then we're just bringing this back with Eldest Reborn. Alright, so... whatever is in their hand is not the... I think creatures are what we're looking for most here. Whatever's in their hand is not the counterspell. Or in their foretell is not the counterspell. I think we have like equal numbers of creatures, instants, and sorceries left in our deck here. I'm going to do 3 damage to Alrund. It's fine. Because I would like our Eldest Reborn to have a good target in the grave. Currently doesn't really. So I would rather like pull a Lightning Bolt out of their hand than get an Anax on my board. Or a Stowaway on my board. I already have some draw discard with Champion. Stowaway's really good at nighttime though. And Anax is only going to be a 2/3. But it replaces itself when it dies for sure. And it's more immediate damage. You're both very whatever. I guess I'm going to take the Anax just because it's more resilient against removal. And we just kind of put ourselves in the aggressive spot here. Actually want lands here. Probably, I should have realized that last turn. It's not just non-land cards, we could grab lands with it. We did have a 6-drop in hand. Discover the formula. Seek 3 non-land cards and everything else in their hand costs less. So draw 3 guaranteed good cards. If I cast Pact of Negation here and they blow up our Cold Steel Heart with anything, or put it back in our hand, 2 things they could definitely do in red or blue, then we lose. So I'm not going to Pact here. If I had 5 lands out, I would definitely Pact, but I don't want to randomly lose to a Petty Theft of Their Own or an Into the Royal on our Cold Steel Heart. Opponent is in the think tank. They just drew a bunch of cards and they're all a little bit cheaper to cast. Drakuzeth, Maw of Flames. Well, they're tapped out now, so they're not going to get rid of our Cold Steel Heart. So we could just Pact this, but we can also just Gear Hulk it next turn, which feels better. Gain a ton of life when we do that. We do want a 7th land now for our Scholar, so I'll just do lands again on Alrund. Comes into play tapped land, so no Scholar next turn unless we draw another land. Try to course, draw some cards. We can counter any kind of Wrath, anything that would stop us from having lethal here. Because now we do have 5 straight up lands out. Ox of Agonas in their graveyard to escape. At a later time if they can survive. Glorybringer. We would still have lethal, so that's fine. If it doesn't impact the bottom line of us having lethal, then we're cool. Siren Stormtamer, we no longer have lethal. They chump block Alrund, but we can foul play that and not show them Pact of Negation. Rather show them foul play. Although, I mean, Pact of Negation's a free counterspell, so, like, even if they know we have it, how could they ever play around it, you know? Alright. So we do lock in game 1. So they're like Grixis, mainly blue-red. Yeah, we didn't see any of their black cards, but they're just like blue-red good stuff. They got a big old Drakuzeth, they got some cheap little Stormtamer, stowaway type creatures. So I do still like the foul play. I like the Disfigure, the Inquisition. I also like the big removal. Pretty much just like the deck as it is. I mean, maybe... Do we try to do the Prismari Command thing? Didn't see any artifacts on their board, but we could blow up a Stormtamer stowaway. I don't think so. I think I'm running it back. Alright, game 2 of round 3 here. Turn 2 Aetherborn's nice. Some cheap interaction. Terramander. Packed it. No. Just lose on the spot. Ooh, we can foul play it though. That's going to be a great target for foul play because that eventually becomes like a 5/5 flyer if they adapt it. So I guess I'm on foul play over Gifted Aetherborn here. Although, yeah, we don't need to kill it yet, especially when we're getting a Lifelinger on the board. We can foul play after the Aetherborn, I would say. Because Aetherborn single-handedly wins the race hardcore. I'm going to play this blue source before I attack in case they flash in something wild, so we can bounce it. Uh-oh. Instant speed interaction. Counterspell the foul play. That's rude. Well, I guess we'll Fading Hope Terramander whenever it does finally adapt. When it becomes a 5/5 flyer, we'll just be like, nah, back in the hand. But for now, I mean, how badly do I want to scry? I don't want to scry that badly. I'm not just gonna bounce it here. Ooh, Noxious Gearhulk's coming up too. Cold Steel Heart helps cast that. We can do black in case we draw Massacre Wurm too. Now we have Pact of Negation mana as well if they tap out. It costs 1 less right now. See, it still costs 7 mana to adapt. They only have 4. Gear hulking here. Sure. Our biggest threat on the board. Does feel weird because Gearhulk's a removal spell to use the removal spell on such a small creature, but it's still cool with me. We will pack that this time. Shut off their card draw and their cheapening of spells. And we still hold up the instant speed Fading Hope interaction. They're down to 7 now. There's Jakuzeth. We bounce it to hand and hit for exact lethal. And that'll be game. We are 1 and 2 in the Decathlon Finals. Here we are in round 4 on the play with a turn 2 Haka. I'll Languish later on if we get the second black source. Pact and an Erebos' Intervention. Opponent starts with a Mountain into Banneret. Rather play Haka here. Then Intervention the Banneret, because we have a Languish coming up. We did draw the second black source for, so we'd like them to just play a bunch of creatures to Languish. Don't want to use single removal when Languish is going to kill that Banneret later anyway. We're not going to block here if they attack, because if we do, they could pump kill Haka. If they want to pump hit us for 3, that's cool. I would much rather they just, yeah, they threaten the activation, but then cast another creature on the board. That's what I'm hoping for, because we have the Languish, of course. We're definitely attacking with Haka turn 4 before we cast Languish, so we put it back in our hand. Are we attacking with it right now, though? Or are we holding it back to stop the 1 damage from Channeler? I think we're holding it back again. We're only going to scry 2 1 time off of it either way. Because if I scry 2 with it here, I'm not going to recast it. I'm just going to hold up intervention. Just in case. Well, I don't know. If I attacked with it here, I probably would just recast it. Yeah, that was probably just a missed scry. Just attack, hit for 2, scry 2, and then recast. It's probably better than holding up intervention. We are playing the Coward's route. So our opponent is on mono red so far. I think it's too late to buff Banneret and Mentor the Channeler, so I think we can block Channeler freely. So I'm going to stack a burn spell onto this here. Or are they just trying to hit for 3? These creatures won't kill each other, so I'm hoping that they're just wanting to play another creature here. Ooh, maybe so. Maybe so. They skip through combat damage. Post-combat now. They're about to shoot our Haka. I would hope not. I'm definitely going to languish next turn if they play another creature. Because we can use this somewhat freely, because if we scry into more lands with Haka, Scholar of the Lost Trove, when we recast this, is going to be a second copy of Languish. And we'll have Erebos' intervention in between there, as well as an Allrund. Alright, Rimrock Knight, come on out. Join the Languish party. Grim Initiate, you get on out here too. This one is going to leave behind a 1-1 either way, but yeah, this Languish is looking nice. Scry 2 here, scrying for lands. These are not lands. Oh my god, but they're so good. Wow. Arena gotta give me decisions like this. They're not lands. I'm gonna be vigilant. I'm just gonna dump them. Am I? Yeah, I mean, next turn we can play Intervention, or actually we're playing Allrund next turn if we hit a land. Yeah, curving out here is really important. We already have the good curve out. We don't need these bonus cool cards. And they could screw us over by having them in hand instead of lands. Because then, like, if we have those in hand and we just don't draw lands, then we're just casting nothing instead. We're just casting 1 intervention. Being sad. The 1-1's coming in hot, and that's it. We do hit a land, but it's a tapped land, so no Allrund here. So Inquisition, just see what's in there. If it's a cheap burn, they probably just use it on us. It's a 5-mana Glorybringer, a red-white Heroic Reinforcements, and a 5-mana Sarkhan. Oh boy. Okay, so they are also trying to hit a land, and if they do, we're in for it. I don't really want to cast Haka here, then. Well, yeah, I'm still going to cast Haka. Because we cast Haka, and now if they Glorybringer, then we Pact of Negation, and if they can't, or if they just do like Sarkhan, then, uh-oh. Well, I guess we have to Pact of Negation now. But the reason I'm doing this is we could attack with it, scry 2, and then recast Allrund anyway. But now we just have to Pact. That does mean that Sarkhan will resolve, though. Alright, so now I don't think that we attack with Haka, because I think we want their next play to be Sarkin -3, and then we bounce the token, kill Sarkin with Haka. So I don't think we attack here. So we're trying to get them to dump Sarkin down and make a dragon. There's Sarkin. -3. We'll see. They're thinking on it for sure. They're looking through everybody's graveyards. Our opponent is definitely a very diligent player here, especially for Boros aggro standards. All right, they are going to dump the dragon out, so we are going to kill that Sarkin. Hawk only triggers on combat damage to a player, so we'll still have Hawk on board to scry 2 the turn after that. Ooh, and we hit a land. Now we're only 1 mana away from the Scholar, and we get to hold up an intervention for 1.
Listen to them roar! The dragon does not lose!
Another red source, so the heroic intervention is just trapped in hand. Take 1, we're down to 16. It's a Morbid Opportunist. Pretty sweet. I think we're just playing an Allrend here, though. Scry 2, set up the Allrend. There's 2 lands, so now we cast Allrend and draw the 2 lands. Beautiful stuff from Allrend there. Allrend is now a 7/7, and there's the concession from our opponent. That is 1-0 in round 4. Does feel like another matchup. We run it back. Saw a lot of stuff Predation could hit, though. Still definitely a bad draw late game against this sort of deck, because late game they're just going to have cast everything already anyway. We can't just count on them not having white mana all game again. Grey Merchant would be fine yet again. Anything just actively bad here? I really don't think there is. Search is slow. We've never drawn the Search first contest, so it's never mattered that it is main deck, but I do think it is probably too slow for this kind of matchup. Maybe even Morbid Opportunist is too slow. What do I play over Search? Do I play Predation or Gary? Play Predation. I like going to the higher land count here. Because we did have 6 and 7 drops coming up. We had to bottom because we just didn't have enough lands. Alright. Opponent is on the play here, and that is a big advantage to the mono red. Well, not mono red, to the Boros deck. So I'm worried about that, and this hand doesn't technically do anything till turn 3, because we're just sitting here playing a Cold Steel Heart, not holding up any interaction or anything. But great stuff from that point on. So I'm going to go ahead and keep here. Cold Steel Heart, make sure we have the double black for our Hoggermulling. Could even just dump down a Haka turn 2. If they play some really good attackers, we just want to block. Do that instead of ramping up, because our hand is, I mean, it's all like 3-4 mana, so we don't really need the Cold Steel Heart turn 2. But it is beautiful artwork, so I do want to play it anyway. So opponent moles 2/5 here with Grim Initiate turn 1. We have 4 mana in hand without playing one of these as a land. Because of Cold Steel Hearts, I don't think I'm going to play one of these as a land. I think I'm just going to play an island. Initiate hitting for 1. Main phase 2. See if they hit land for turn. Wouldn't be surprised if they did keep a 1-lander. They're a very aggressive deck, and by the time that you're mulling to 5, can't be too picky. But it looks like they did hit the second red source there. We playing our Cold Steel Heart, or are we just playing a Haka? I feel like we're under very low pressure, so I'd rather play Cold Steel Heart on black, and then we can Gifted Aetherborn and stuff. 3 mana from our opponent, and Chandra, Acolyte of Flame it is. Alright, things are getting scary. They only have 2 cards left in hand, but their stuff on board is putting some pressure down. Particularly Chandra. Poison Cup only kills creatures. Hagar Mulling only kills creatures. We have nothing that can kill Chandra here. Do have 4 mana. Play Gifted Aetherborn for sure. Hold on to Petty Theft here, or do we cast Haka? Or do we Foretell Poison the Cup? I kind of like casting Haka, because then we just have enough blockers that the 1/1s from Chandra don't matter. The problem with doing that, though, is if they have like a Bolt in hand, they go Bolt -2 Chandra, Bolt both of our creatures. That's super bad for us, but if they don't have a Bolt in hand, then we have a creature out that can slap Chandra for 2. We can start working on getting her off the board, plus we have enough blockers to stop whatever they're doing. Feels way safer to just hold up Petty Theft here. Because yeah, a single 3 damage burn spell turns into 2 of them as long as Chandra's on board and just deals with everything that we have. If we play another creature, that doesn't feel good to me. Gifted Aetherborn. It holds down the fort pretty much just as well as 2 creatures would if they don't have a single burn spell. The fact that 1 burn spell counts as 2 means playing 1 creature is like just as risky as the 2 creatures. Like having 2 creatures out doesn't make it any less likely that our whole board dies. We have 2 damage spells here in hand. I'm gonna mess around and find out here. No, they have a light up the stage they need to cast the Spectacle cost on. Okay. They hit Heroic Reinforcements and a Mountain. Our opponent is having a really bad time with their white mana. Okay. So we can't kill Chandra here, but we could hit Chandra for 2 and gain some life. They did not have the burn spell though, so it would have been better to play Haka, because then we could kill Chandra here. We just bounce their Grim Initiate and go for it. I think I'm just going to bounce Chandra now that it's their end step. Because then they can't just -2 Chandra to recast Light Up the Stage. Because then they're spending 3 mana to play Chandra. We have 4 mana here. Are we attacking? If we play Opportunist, sure. I think think at this point I'm playing Selendi Isle. So we have Allrund mana next turn. I think I would rather hold up instants. I'm going to get that attack in there, just gain a couple life. Glorybringer is the play. That's going to get killed pre-combat here before it can exert. Play the Mauling because it's the most expensive. Five mana for the Allrund here. Dig for lands for our Gear Hulk. No lands. Ah, Massacre Wurm and Fading Hope. To the bottom of our library. And there's the concession from our opponent. That is 2 and 2 now. 1 win away from getting the 3-player draft tokens that I'm in it for. So next round, kind of the final boss. Win or lose, we get to where I want to be, or we scrub out. Alright, here we are on the play in the final boss, sort of. The final boss for trying to get the player draft tokens. Hand's a little bit weird here. We're definitely going to be foretelling a Poison the Cup, and then just holding on to a Languish. Hopefully we're playing against a creature-based deck. If we are not, we are in for a bad time. If we're playing against like blue-white control again, that is just a really, really bad matchup for us. Alright, Forest Llanowar Elves, creature-based deck it is, and I'm just going to let them ramp into their stuff rather than just figure that thing. Because we're going to Languish soon enough. Alright, green-red, Llanowar Visionary. Now they're really ramping, so now I am getting actually pretty scared. Although, we can poison anything that's bigger than 4 toughness and Languish the rest. Alright, nothing to ramp into, just attack for 3 here. And they foretell a card of their own. Languish some mana dorks here. Or start getting ready to Massacre Wurm those. 2 turns away from that. We're only taking 3 a turn from them. I'm actually just going to let them keep doing their thing. Just Poison the Cup again. Poison the Cup, whatever they ramp into, and then Pact, whatever they ramp into, potentially. And if it's nothing, we'll just take 3 for a little bit. Until we play a Massacre Wurm. 4 mana up. And they pass turn again. Alright, this is weird. I forgot to... I'm so bad at Crawling Barrens. Forgot to get the counters on it. Play Watergrave tapped. If I played an untapped land this turn, I could block with a Crawling Barrens, but I really don't want it to die, so I don't want to make it a creature and get shot by a shock or a lightning bolt or anything. This is a weird game. This is just a weird game of Magic. All around. They have 5 mana up now, and they're still casting nothing in green-red. What on earth is happening? Let's not miss this ability again for like the 20th time today. Show me the money? They kill it before its ability goes off. They don't take damage. Oh, I'm so fine with this. They're going to spend 2 spells to try to kill this, and we're going to counter one of them. Get a crispy clean, like 4 for 1 here. Kill 2 of their creatures, get a 6/5. Get rid of 2 of their burn spells, or removal spells. Oh, they've got another one. Jesus! The fight for the Massacre Wurm. Woo, boy. Alright. Well, 2 cards in hand. We're going to have to dump 5 mana into not dying next turn now. Ranger class. Uh-oh. It's a very good card. That's really unfortunate. Blue-black just doesn't have enchantment removal, so they just get to cast creatures from the top of their library for the rest of the game. Just super, super not good. I just figure that here so they're not getting counters on their creature at least. One Allrund. Let's do things. What is in our deck? Oh, it counts your exiled cards too, I forgot. That's funny. Or is it just a 2/2 straight up? Wait, no. It's weird. Okay, somehow it's a 3/3. I'm going to stop trying to read that and start figuring out what I have in deck. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 creatures. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 instants, 6 creatures, less sorcery. So creatures is the highest non-land in deck. So we pick creatures. Oh, there's 2 lands. So it doesn't matter regardless then. Ranger class is like a miniature experimental frenzy here. Any creatures they have on top, they just start just dumping creatures out. And cultivate shuffles to potentially hit a creature here. Apparently no creature on top currently. Grab a couple forests. Thins the deck out. So there's less lands in there. And still no creatures from our opponent. Alright. Start going at it with this Crawling Barrens. They die in 2 attacks. Hit 2 instants on top there. Alright, there's the concession from our opponent. 1-0 in round 5. So, green-red creature stuff, definitely a matchup we like. Any matchup against it. Creature decks, just decks that are running a good amount of creatures is the main card type in deck. So we're going to be on the draw here. Does that change anything? Not really. Really didn't see anything I think I need to sideboard around. We did not see whatever they're trying to ramp into. We know their Foretell card is a Demon Bolt, so we can play around that. But other than that, a bunch of cheap ramp. Cheap burn. They're ramping into something, but didn't draw it here. So, I don't even know if I want to put Predation in, because they might just only have 1, 2, or 3 big cards to ramp into. We saw a lot of like 2 mana stuff. I shall run it back, as I tend to pretty much always do in 2 out of 3. It's gonna have to be a mulligan for sure. 6 mana card, a 7 mana card, and 1 land. Two mana. Pretty expensive card here. We probably get rid of that as good as it is. We actually do have 3 mana here if we keep Hoggermulling, so maybe we get rid of Intervention. It's not going to be super good against green-red because they have big stuff. It is good against their elves, though. Their 1/1 elf, their 2/2 elf. Might be a little greedy here, But I think I'm going to keep Gearhulk. I feel like Gearhulk's going to be really good in this matchup. I'm going to get rid of the Intervention. But maybe we could even get rid of Inquisition. I don't know. Turn 2, Gifted Aetherborn? No, because we don't have an actual swamp. Play the Catacomb first, because if we just draw a land literally every turn, maybe we won't play Hagramaling. And either way, we're playing 2 black sources, 2 tapped black sources the first 2 turns. Although with Fading Hope here, maybe we go Fading Hope Inquisition. I'm actually kind of down for that. Lightning Strike, Shatter Skull Smashing, Vivian Reed. Kind of want to get rid of Shatter Skull Smashing because it's a land, but even if we get rid of that, they're still only 2 mana away from Vivian. Or 1 mana away from Vivian because they have Llanowar Elves as well. Play their 4th land. Smashing's like way higher impact as well if they just draw more lands and don't have to play Shatterskull as a land. Yeah, I'm gonna hit Shatterskull Smashing. We Fading Hope Targnar here and scry into a land. It's not a land, but he is good. We have double blue, we have double black, we have a lot of black cards in hand, and we have a Massacre Wurm in the deck, so let's grab another black source off the Cold Steel Heart. They're 1 land away from Vivian here, though, so if they play Vivian and blow up this Cold Steel Heart, then it was way worse than drawing a land. Yeah, that's brutal. Vivian blow up Cold Steel Heart here.
Beasts are much more reliable.
I am now starting to hate the Cold Steel Heart top deck.
No one said restoration
That
was
is abysmal. Down to 16. 4 mana now. Play Aetherborn, it dies to Lightning Strike. Good for Poison the Cup and then cast that next turn, I guess. But I really don't want to spend it on just like a Targnar. But it does scry. It scries us too, and then the scrying lets us get the lands that we need to cast Gearhulk, which will kill the next thing that we're trying to kill. Although Vivian also just kills Gearhulk. Yeah, Vivian's really good against us. Good God. I'm going to hold on to the Poison the Cup rather than just draw out their Lightning Strike.
Meet my newest friend.
Drawn to a Love-Struck Beast off of her plus ability. Getting that card draw engine going off here. They have 6 mana, so they can make the 1/1, make the 5/5, and Lightning Strike. So they can cast everything in hand that we know of, if they want to. Holding on to Poison the Cup because we know they have a 5/5 in their hand now. Yep, and we'll kill the 5/5. Languish. That is interesting enough for me to just cast here. But then, I mean, Vivian's still just going off. We need to stop Vivian. But we can't really, can we? Yeah, I suppose we do Languish here. And then, do we actually just get rid of this land? Because, like, sure, Noxious Gearhulk can kill one of their creatures, but the game-ending card here is Vivian. If they draw 2 cards a turn by just drawing for turn and then drawing a creature off the top 4 with Vivian, it's really hard to win a game where your opponent draws twice as many cards. So I think we just need to focus on killing Vivian over anything else. So we just take a Languish to make sure we're not immediately dying, and then just hope to draw anything to deal with Vivian. Noxious Gearhulk is definitely not that. Gearhulk just straight dies to Vivian's minus.
I've seen things that would break someone like you.
Yep, Vivian going off. Now there's an Elder Gargaroth. Player gifted Aetherborn, it dies to Lightning Strike. Gargaroth attacks, they draw a card. Vivian pluses, they draw a card. This one's really over. I'll just play it out and try and play it quick. But it's a goner. If we have anything that can deal with Vivian, Vivian's kind of just an auto win against us. Feels like. At least it was this game because we had multiple artifacts for them to blow up, plus, you know, just being a card draw engine's very good. Gargaroth is a card draw engine as well, but we have way more removal that can kill Gargaroth than Vivian. Actually don't know if we have any that can kill a Planeswalker. No, we just have like, yeah, we have Blood Chief's Thirst, Pact of Negation, and our bounce spells, but our bounce spells are temporary. Alright, there's Errata. Just getting more information about their deck. It does look like just more basic red-green creature stuff. I think it's a pretty solid matchup. And I think we keep foul play in this deck, because it can kill Land Werewolves, it can kill Targnar, it can kill their 3-mana 2/2. Oh, this is over. That's dead on board. Predation is a way to deal with Vivian, I guess. I don't think we definitely don't play Cruel Reality because Vivian can kill that, as well as probably some other random stuff. Green just has so much random stuff to destroy artifacts and enchantments, just main deck all the time. And including but not limited to Vivian. Yeah, I think it's just Pelakka Predation, and we can do the 41 card special because it's a land and a spell. Although they seem slow enough, we don't really need Fading Hope to slow them down. So we could also just cut that. Search for Arascanta is bad against Vivian. It is an enchantment. And it is a slow card. Maybe we cut that. Sure, I'll cut Search and keep Fading Hope. They have some tokens that we can, like, permanently kill and scry when we cast that. That could matter, like if we bounce the Lovestruck Beast token to make it so the Lovestruck Beast can't attack, or if we bounce a 3/3 Beast token or something like that. Alright, on the play. A little slow, but that should be fine judging by how this matchup's been so far. Big, high impact stuff coming up later. Turn 1 Llanowar. They've got turn 1 Llanowar all 3 games. Do I want to foretell the poison the cup or just bounce the Llanowar? Slow them down a little bit. Down to bounce the elves. Now they drop Targnar turn 2. Ooh, Palaka Predation versus Brazen Borrower. I like Borrower first, then Predation next turn, and we're holding up Poison the Cup this way. Three mana out. The first Iroan Games. It's a wall of text. They create a 1/1, put 3 counters on something. We'll blow up whatever they put the counters on, and then they'll draw no cards, because they'll not have anything for that. I guess that happens 2 turns from now, so they can just play another big creature and draw cards. Okay, interesting. We'll definitely want to be able to kill whatever they're putting counters on. In which case, I guess we're not playing Predation here, unless we probably Inquisition. No, if I Inquisition, I don't have double black up anymore. Yeah, if I Inquisition, I can't Poison the Cup this turn. And I want to Poison the Cup this turn. Am I about to play the Predation as a land? We've got such a great 7-drop in hand, and we only have 4 mana here currently. If they Vivian us, I'm gonna cry so hard. I will cry about it. We want to kill it before they go to combat so they don't have pack tactics. Cultivate, alright, so they won't be drawing any cards off the first Iroan Games. Nice, we managed to counteract it. We'll have 0 creatures out with power 4 or greater. And Eldest Reborn kills something important here, probably just kills Targnar. But then they're literally just going to Vivian and blow up Eldest Reborn because I got rid of my card that would make them discard Vivian. We have no way to know if there's a Vivian in their hand unless I cast Inquisition here, and that's gotta be worse than just playing Eldest Reborn. But I swear they're gonna Vivian us here. But I guess if they Vivian and minus to kill Eldest Reborn, then we just kill Vivian with Brazen Borrower. So if they Vivian, they probably Vivian and kill Borrower. Alright, sweet. Just an Oracle of Moldiah. Well, I mean, not just an Oracle of Moldiah. That is also a very good card. Lets them play additional lands each turn and play lands off the top of their library. So I don't believe they played land for turn yet, so they just go Stomping Ground off the top, they just go Mountain off the top, and bam, they've just drawn 2 right there. So Oracle of Moldiah has already been a 3-for-1. They get a 2/2 and draw 2 lands. Oracle of Moldiah doing some things. Ram through to blow up our Brazen Borrower. Attack for 2 with Targnar. Now we make them discard a card off of Eldest Reborn, which is nice. I'm going to draw 2, discard 2 with Champion of Wits, probably discarding Inquisition of Kozilek, digging for lands to get this Scholar cast. There's a land. So I think we discard Inquisition and maybe Blood Chief's Thirst. Blood Chief's Thirst could kill Vivian, so you know what? Nah, we'll discard Inquisition Aetherborn. Guess we could kill Targnar with this right now. Couldn't kill the Oracle though. Don't think I want to do that. Lightning Strike on the top of their library. What happens when Eldest Reborn pops off here? We're getting back our Gifted Aetherborn, I guess, or our Brazen Borrower. And then they're just going to blow it up with a Lightning Strike. Buffing the Targnar, it's a 4/4 here. And attacking with the Oracle as well. We're taking 5, taking 10 if they buff it again. Going to 4 life and then they draw into Lightning Strike. That feels like massively risky, even though we could kill Oracle Malai on the block here. Going to 4 life against a Lightning Strike guaranteed. Yeah. They've got a Demon Bolt ready now. Get a Llanowar Elves, a Paradise Druid, Champion, Gifted Aetherborn, or Brazen Borrower. Whatever we get back is going to die to Demon Bolt or Lightning Strike, so it really does not matter. I guess we can go for the ETB Champion of Wits here to make sure that we hit the land and just play Scholar this turn. Seems cool. We don't hit the land anyway, but we do hit Languish now instead. So I guess we're playing a Languish this turn. Yeah, discard Cold Steel Heart Opportunist. And then we Languish. And they're down to, we know they have 2 removal spells and 1 random card. They have Lightning Strike, Demon Bolt, and an Unknown. And we're going to have a 5/5 flyer and a 4/4 on the ground coming up. As soon as we hit 1 more land, there's the 1 more land. Nothing important to recast with Scholar here, so I think I just cast Champion. Like we would just cast an instant or sorcery from our grave. We would just get like a Cold Steel Heart at this point, because all our instants are just removal. Yeah, I'll just play the Champion. Draw 4, discard 2. I need to Google what happens if Champion of Wits dies before its ability resolves. If Champion of Wits leaves the battlefield before the ability resolves, uses the last known power. Okay, so it's going to be 4 either way. Cool. It chose to Lightning Strike our face. I'm absolutely horrified by that. We don't need any more lands. We don't need any more lands. So yeah, discard those 2. Hopefully they don't just randomly 8 damage us here. They've got 1 card in hand. And a Banefire? I would be so sad if that's how this ends here. Oh my god. They have exactly enough, if that's what this is here. Should get fireballed. Oh my god. Alright, well. 2 and 3 it is, I guess. No player draft tokens this time around. Really sad way to end it. Good lord. That game 2 against that Vivian was super rough. And then here, without the Banefire, like, we are all set up to take control of this game so hard. Didn't even see the Banefire in the first 2 games. It's not even like something on our radar to play around. Oh, that is so sad. But that'll do it. Win some, you lose some. 2 and 3 in the Decathlon Finals. Either way, it was a free event, just entry for the tokens that we got in the other Decathlon events. So can't be too unhappy about that. We got some rare wild cards. So some goodies, and got to play some more cube drafts. So that is going to end today's video. As always, if you enjoy these drafts and you'd like to see more, just stick around on the channel. There will be plenty more in the near future. We have Innistrad double feature coming out at the end of the month. We've got Kamigawa Neon Dynasty at the start of February. Lots of great stuff for drafters coming up. And until then, some more cube draft nonsense. So once again, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.